This podcast represents the opinions of the hosts of the Laugh Cry Club and guests on the show. The content here should not be taken as medical advice and is for informational purposes only. And because each person is so unique, please consult your healthcare professional for any medical questions. While we make every effort to ensure that the information we share is accurate, we welcome any comments, suggestions, or correction of errors. Welcome back, everybody. It's the Laugh Cry Club. I am Joy.
I'm Rebecca.
I'm Chelsea, and if you are an imperfect human who often laughs and cries, then this podcast is for you or a friend or a family or a loved one.
Send it to all the people.
Yeah,
send it to everyone.
for sure. Welcome.
We're so glad you're here. Thank you, everybody, for listening to our show and passing it along to a friend. We are 3 licensed therapists who are just trying to figure out life like you are. So we have some knowledge and we have some tips and tricks to help along the way, which we take our own advice. And this podcast is also a nice love letter to ourselves. So welcome to the wonderful, fabulous club. We always start our show with a laugh and cry of the week. And then we go into the topic of the day, of the week, and then we will do a preview for next week. So who is going to kick us off for our laugh and cry, Chelsea?
Well, today I am going to nominate myself to kick us off with a laugh and a cry because it's just so human. I think some of you might be able to relate to my conclusion I came up with. So, my cry. We are on day 23 of the hospital. I have been living 4.5 hours away from home, supporting my husband who had a liver resection, and I've been hanging on really, really tight, doing all the things to try and make myself normal. I even bought like a candle warmer or wax warmer for our room that I found at one of pop-ups in the hospital. I mean, I'm really trying. I feel like I've got a lot of moving parts because I do have a lot of moving parts personally, and the hospital is just, it's been really hard. So I was getting my paperwork ready. Some of you know I have, a job that I work at full time. I also have a practice. I also do speaking stuff. I do a lot of different, I have my hands in lots of different buckets. So for my W-2 position, I needed to give FMLA paperwork. Well, the first time the doctor filled it out, they filled it out incorrectly, which I didn't even notice because we were just in such a state of frantic. I just forwarded what they sent me. And then it turned out that that wasn't filled out right, and they wanted me to fill out new paperwork. So I fill it out, and the surgeon comes into the room every day. So I give it to Dr. Cannon, and he signs off. Send that back over. And then they tell me that there's something that was missed getting filled out. Like question 9 wasn't filled out right. Now, I lost it. I'm like, my husband has been going through stage 4 cancer. This is a highly terminal diagnosis.
Yeah, we're talking life and death.
We're talking life and fucking
serious.
death. Yeah.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And then on top of it, he had a liver resection and was having psychosis, audio-visual hallucinations nonstop for probably 17, 18 days. They have done multiple procedure after procedure. My most amount of sleep was when I went home for my son's birthday for a few days, but I am back in this and I lost it. I was like, how the fuck do people try to get a doctor's fucking note? Which is already, you already feel embarrassed. I do. I'll speak for myself. I feel embarrassed. I feel like a little kid being like, I am a 47-year-old adult. Can you write me permission that I'm not lying, that my life is a fucking shit show, and that this government-protected benefit, that I'm not trying to pull the wool over somebody's eye? It feels embarrassing to me. It felt embarrassing to have him fix the paperwork. Then I send it all over again, and now they're telling me it's still something else. And I'm like, can you just tell me exactly what you want? Because I'm embarrassed to keep, this is a surgeon who saves lives all day. He doesn't have time to be doing this shit, and it makes me feel embarrassed. So I'm in the room, and I just start sobbing. And I'm sobbing. Now, my husband is in a hospital bed, helpless, cannot walk, uses the restroom in his bed, which I help clean him up. The nurses do too. Everybody does. PICC line, IVs, bruised body, cut open, wide open, not even sewn up because he has infection. So, we've got like a 16-inch cut that I can put half of my fingers through. And then I feel like, oh my God, this is what you're complaining about, your stupid work? Like, look at your husband. And then my mouth starts talking because I don't want to feel the emotions. I don't want to cry. And I start doing what we're not supposed to do, which is to start venting. So my venting.
You got to do it.
Yeah,
you just got to do it sometimes.
But I'm doing it because I don't want to feel. And so my brain keeps jacking up. My body's jacking up my brain. And my sweet fucking husband looks at me and he says this: maybe you should take a walk and call your friend Natalie. I think that would be good for you. And I'm like,
oh.
You're
Steve.
Oh, sweet Steve.
Wow.
So, because his brain's back. So I go, you're right. I'm done. You don't need this. I love you. We both hate fucking being here. We both hate this situation. This is not me complaining about you. He's like, I know. Go take a walk. Go take care of yourself. So I go, okay, take a walk, take care of myself. And I come back, and then my laugh is when I looked at him and was like, babe, I have to tell you something. And he's like, what? And I'm like, I know for all these years you thought I was perfect, but I'm not. And he just starts rolling, and I was like, I'm just not perfect. I can't do it all. And he starts laughing. And then the kids call, and he's like, hey, Miles, I got to tell you something about your mom. You know, she made this confession today. And he's like, I don't know if you know this, but she's not perfect. And I can hear the kids' reactions. And he does it with Charlie. And then we couldn't stop laughing because it was hilarious, because I want to make sure I'm doing it right and holding it together right and making everything right and doing my stupid paperwork right, making sure that I have my doctor's note right and doing it all right. And yeah, and I'm not perfect. That's it, guys. I don't know if you're not perfect, but here I am.
Absolutely not.
Can't relate.
Breaking news.
Cannot relate.
Breaking news, guys.
Yeah. Wow.
Breaking news, Chelsea is not perfect. Which is why we're in this club together. And that is wonderful. That's so human. It's so funny because every time I fall into something like that, Chelsea, afterwards, like if I'm done venting, I'm like, it's so hard being perfect.
Oh my God, do you say that?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm going to start saying that
funny.
now. I'm going to use that as my follow-up. It's so hard.
Chelsea, I want to say I'm so sorry that you all are still going through this, but thank you for sharing about this FMLA piece, because I feel like this is a struggle for most people, because when you're using it, you're in a really terrible spot, or a family member's in a really hard position. And I've always felt that there should be a better system on how to assist, patients or the person or their family on how to navigate this. Like, why can't we get, say, a case manager that handles this paperwork component instead
like while
of
you're in this tragic situation, in
Yes,
this very hard situation, and then you're having to deal with paperwork.
And of course, paperwork's going to end up getting messed up or done incorrectly when you are in survival mode, right? It's like, I wish there was some way that could be better for people.
I do too. And I wish it could just be like, this is 4 pages. So you have to imagine, like, a doctor's reading through and like, what is it that you want? Like, they're putting it in there. I don't know what, I know what I need. I'm assuming they're capturing what I need. But again, it's just like this tedious government paper pusher type check boxes. And it's like, okay, can you just, I'm going to ask him actually, because now it's still not right. I'm just going to ask him, like, can I just get like the surgeon to be like, please excuse Chelsea for like, and then it's like, I'm 47, you guys.
Well, I feel like maybe employers need to have better systems too that, we work with. Like, it should be, hey, you take care of your family in this situation. We're going to handle this for you.
Exactly.
We just need maybe a few contact. Right. Like,
give us a contact. We'll contact them. We'll take care of it. Yeah.
Oh my God, Rebecca, you just
wouldn't that be amazing?
You just solved the problem. That could be the problem solver. Actually, that's a great call out and something I can think about, because I do chair the employee resource group at my work, and that's maybe something I can call out. Like, can these people who we hire to do all this paperwork, could the employee just say, this is what I need, and that person just contacts the doctor themselves? That would be amazing. Oh my gosh. Okay, thank you for that. What a great idea. Wow, we just solved the FMLA world problem at Laugh Cry Club.
We're solving so many problems. From day one, Rebecca's the head of the TSA. We are just putting out fires left and right.
We are. So I think this is a great opportunity to nominate the problem solver, the person who comes up with these quick-witted, easy, simple solutions to tackle complex problems that make our world, flow just a little bit easier in the humanness of life. And so I will nominate our still sniffly, still on the mend, Rebecca.
Thank you. I'm kind of like, when you said sniffly, I pictured like Snuffleupagus in my head. That's how I feel.
Oh, I feel so bad for you. It's been so long.
I know. It just keeps going. Yeah. Oh, man. Thank you so much for that. I really enjoy being a problem solver. So I appreciate that you're calling that
And
out.
that is true. I know, I like to make a lot of jokes, but Rebecca does have the gift of resourcefulness and simplifying complex things to make solutions.
Looking at something and being like,
it's true.
Why is it this way? We should do it this way.
Yes. True. So anyways.
Yeah, I am highly efficient, right? I think you had said that once before, Chelsea. It's like, let's look at efficiency here. So,
I love efficiency.
Excellent. I do too. Yeah, so still not feeling the best. I'm not smoking as many candy cigarettes as I had been, so I am reducing my usage, everyone. You'll be happy to know. Yeah, still sniffly, still got some stuff going on. I'm hoping soon we'll be out of this, but we'll see. Laugh. Gosh, we had a birthday in our household in the last week. Robin's birthday. Robin is my wife, and she has this picture that's so cute from 1980 when I think she was 4 years old, and she's posing with a bunny cake, and she's got these cute pigtails, and back then you would use like shoelaces in your hair a lot, and so there's shoelaces and the pigtails, and so I was like, oh, I'm gonna surprise her and make this bunny birthday cake. So made a bunny birthday cake, and then it's like we had to recreate the photo. We ended up pulling some shoelaces out of a pair of Vans that were kind of cool, put her hair in pigtails and put the shoelaces in. Anyway, it was hilarious and cute all at the same time. So
I saw that photo and it's adorable.
Did you see the side by side?
Wait, I
never
saw the side by side.
Oh, you've been busy, but it was on my social media.
Oh, I haven't been good.
Yeah.
You all, Laugh Cry Club members, our social media, have we been even posting on our social media?
We haven't been as active, but we got to pick it back up.
We're getting back on
But
it.
listen, this is what happens when life happens, right? We have to get small again so we can get big.
So that was my laugh, and then cry. I haven't really had anything until last night. I'm actually a lot behind on Yellowstone, and so was just watching like one of the final episodes that was released whenever. And when Casey made the agreement with the tribe to sell the land back for $1 an acre or whatever it was, back to the tribe. Oh my gosh, it just got me, because I'm like, full circle moment. This is how it should be. These people stole this land anyway, and it's going back to the tribe to preserve from all the big corps that want to come in and put condos and destroy, pristine land. And I don't know, it just really got me. So that's my cry.
Rebecca, it was the doing the right thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. It's like, when people do the right thing, it makes me cry, not like out of sadness, but of, I don't know, it really hits you in your heart.
It does me
because
too.
we see
it's the
so
right
much.
thing.
We see so much people doing the wrong thing in our day to day, and when you see that genuine connective moment of people realizing what's really important, I totally agree with you. It's very touching. It's a return to ourselves, our true selves. Our true selves is made of love, I believe.
Joy.
Yep.
That is so true. Last night, Steve and I were in the hospital room, and it was like 3 a.m. and he had an accident in the bed, and I was helping him and get cleaned up, and we just laid him back. Like, I sleep in the chair next to him so we can hold hands. And I was thinking, like, this is it. If you want to know your meaning of life, this is it. It's just love with two flawed people who are in the shit together. Like, that is like, there's nothing else, right? Like, there's nothing else that matters. I always say that time and love, the time you have to give it and receive it, and love. And when we see people doing the right things, because that act from Yellowstone that you're talking about, Rebecca, that's an act of love. Just say, like, I did wrong, somebody did wrong to you, and so my heart is going to do this thing because it's the right thing. And that is, to Joy's point, the essence. Like, what feels better than that? Nobody's like, oh, I did that, now I regret it because I didn't make all that extra money that I didn't fucking need. Those people aren't feeling really fulfilled. I don't think.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I'm going to pass this over to our sweet, 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 sweet Joy.
Wonderful Joy.
You know, I have my High Rocks patch right next to my desk, and I always think about our amazing High Rocks event. I just pulled it up because I was like, a little High Rocks. That was early February, and here we are in April. Where does the time go? I have some really cute little laughs and cries this week. My laugh is, so everyone knows I'm puppy raising again. We went to our first puppy class recently, which is basically when you're raising a puppy, you have to go to these puppy classes where they kind of run through all the commands and kind of help you hone in on your skills, and also gives the dog a chance to socialize with other dogs and kind of give them that distraction in a learning environment, because when they go to advanced training, they're going to be around a lot of other dogs. So they have to get used to learning in an environment with a bunch of dogs around. So we went to our class and we're kind of like finishing at the end, and everyone's like around a circle talking, and we're kind of talking about the next class. And everyone's kind of quiet, and the dogs are various ages, but this one was probably about a year old, the dog I'm talking about. And we're sitting there all of a sudden, because when you're training dogs, you give them little pieces of kibble, like little treats, like training treats, right? And labs and Goldens eat very quickly, so they usually like just gobble it right up. This happens often, but when it happens, it makes me laugh so hard. So we're sitting there, and all of a sudden it's like very quiet, and this dog just goes and like coughs, and a piece of kibble just like flies across the room.
Oh my God.
And we all just started laughing because the kibble just flies into the middle of the circle and just sits there, and we all just stare at it like, what?
Wow.
It always makes me laugh. So that was my laugh.
Well, then, do you ever imagine like the dogs are humans at a party, and like somebody just coughs and food just flies like across?
It's kind of like that.
Yeah, because they're at like a social event, right?
That's hilarious.
Like they're
Would you
in
have
school.
A dog coughing, there's kibble like shotgunned across the room.
And then does the dog like pretend like, oh, it didn't happen, or they take like full credit?
No,
that,
they
that was
literally
me?
ignored like it didn't even happen, and all the humans are cracking up. And then we're like, at least it's good training that they didn't try to run after it and eat it, because they're not supposed to pick up food off the floor. Oh, so funny. So I'm, just on a very fun note, I love puppy class, and it feels so good to be back in that environment because it just makes me so happy. It's such a fun part of my life. And then my cry is my nephew it's like a happy cry. My nephew turned 19 this past weekend, and I was just like in this mode of reflection, and we were kind of exchanging texts, and I'm so, so, so proud of him. He's at Virginia Tech. He's doing really well. He's super smarty pants. So just kind of like had this nostalgic reflection moment of your life, really, kind of what you're talking about, Chelsea, where you're like looking at what really matters and looking at the past 19 years of his life, and me remembering when he was born and how excited I was to be an aunt for the first time, just watching him grow and all the memories that you have with your family and those connective moments where you're just feeling really grateful. How at my age, when I was his age, you're not really thinking about in your 20s, 30s, and 40s. You're just very present. And how, now at my age, I'm like, oh, I think so much about time, because as I get older and the people, like my nephew's getting older, there's something about trying to stay present. So I'm not going to this place of like, quote unquote, feeling old, where I'm like, I just really want to relish in these relationships. And I don't want to get to 20 years from now and be like, wow, I really miss 47 because I was, so I was just really feeling reflective and grateful and happy and all the things, because that's what life's about. It's just those relationships.
It is interesting, as for you, Chelsea, your kid's growing older, but even nieces and nephews, like so weird. Like my oldest nephew has a baby now, and it's like, what?
Yeah.
Like, should you have a baby? Like, I mean, obviously he does, and he's, a really great dad, because I saw him a few weeks ago, and I'm like, this is so weird watching him with his baby.
But it's
because I remember when he was a baby.
Yes. And like, my nephew's probably not like that far off from maybe finding a partner and getting married, So I just feel like I remember my parents making comments about, their age and reflecting and nostalgia. And along the way, of course, when you're older, you collect more memories and more relationships in your life that have such meaning. And so I think that, as I'm 47 and I talk with my friends that I've grown up with where we're like, how did we get this old? Like even my sister-in-law, who is the mother of my nephew, was like, how did I get this old? I understand that. And also it's like, it's so interesting to reflect on because we have this whole life ahead of us, God willing, but we are at that point where I'm like, oh, now I get what my parents were talking about. Like when I was younger, where they're just like, I feel 25 eternally. But when you're age and you're collecting all these memories, it kind of is like a mind screw a little bit.
A mind screw is a great way to put it because you don't, even as a parent, you don't look at your, I don't know what people think. I don't even imagine, like I can't even imagine when I'm thinking like, what is Miles going to be like at 20? Because they're their own people. You don't even know what they're going to be like. Like maybe parents are predicting how their kid's going to be, but I'm just like in utter curiosity. And it's wild. I mean, it's wild. Miles drove Betty, our Lincoln Town Car, 4.5 hours to come to the hospital. Him and Charlie stayed by themselves in the hotel next door while I stayed in the hospital room. Like, when did that happen?
When did they become just mini adults? Yeah.
Miles drove himself to his jiu-jitsu tournament and found street parking in Birmingham. Like, I can't even wrap my head around it. And then Joy, maybe too, because we do like televideo, like seeing myself on video, I'm like, damn, I'm old. Like the people in front of me, like I don't feel young anymore. I don't. I feel youthful. I feel good in my body, but I don't feel, my brain feels so like an old woman. Is that so weird? Even when I was walking down the street in Birmingham, Miles was walking, it's kind of shady down here, a little seedy, and I felt like an old woman with Miles being like my protector, like my strong, tall, 16, I felt like this little woman. I'm not little, like I'm tall, but I just felt like this, like, oh my God, I'm like a grandma. And he's like going to be here to like keep an eye out for me in case somebody tries to steal my handbag. Yeah. I don't know. It's weird. Okay.
I totally get it. I just like time is a weird time warp.
So weird.
And I think it's because I don't see myself like at my age. I constantly think about, because I am, my mom's older and I still feel like that young child. And so I don't see her as like almost 80. It's so interesting how that happens. But let's pivot.
We need to pivot.
We're so youthful. We can just pivot on a dime. So our topic this week is our inner critic. Speaking of criticizing ourselves and maybe thinking of age in a weird way, I mentioned this last week. There was a speaker at my work. Their name is Jeffrey Marsh. They are an amazing influencer, coach, advocate, just a beautiful, beautiful soul. I really think you should follow their Instagram. It's Jeffrey Marsh. The daily inspiration and positive notes on that account are just like, everyone needs that in their life. So they did this meditation and I can't replicate it. So I'm going to do a very, almost probably, not do it justice, but for the sake of time, I'm going to just kind of do the bullet points of what they did. They did this very thoughtful meditation of kind of bringing you to a grounded space and really reflecting and going inward. I think anyone could do this on their own by maybe just doing a basic meditation, but asking yourself these questions. And the first question is, kind of connecting with that inner soul, inner self, however you get there. What is your greatest fear? Connect with that thought. And while you guys are thinking, because I already did it, I'll just share mine. My fear that immediately came to me, and I was listening to this while I was on a walk with my dogs, was, wow, I'm afraid I'm never going to be happy. That was an interesting answer because I'm like, wow, I have so many wonderful things to be happy about. But the thing that I get stuck on a lot is I'm a seeker. One of my best friends was like, Joy, you're just always going to be a seeker. You're never going to be fully satisfied. So like, just make peace with that. Because there's a lot in my life where I feel like, when am I finally going to feel like I've reached the peak? And I realized like, oh, there is no peak. Like you just keep going in life. But that was my first answer was, I'm afraid I'm never going to be happy. Then they pause and they say, Jeffrey says, all right, so once you've established that, I want you to say, my biggest fear is, and so for me, it was, I'm never going to be happy because, and then you go to the next, you drop it a little bit deeper. So then your next answer, go to your next answer. I'm afraid I'll never be happy for me because, and then you fill in the blank. And so for me, my answer was, because I'm I'm never going to like have the confidence or maybe the ability to like really put myself out there in ways that maybe will bring me happiness. Like, you know, you have dreams, but sometimes you feel like, oh, I'm too afraid to try. So just let's just start with those two basic ones. Do any of you have like a share?
I mean, I can share. The first thing that came up to me is I'm afraid. My biggest fear, I think, was that I don't want to be rejected by somebody who I love. That was the first thing that came up. And then when you said the next part, I don't want to be rejected by somebody who I loved, I came up with because I don't want to be abandoned. So I don't know what now. Now what, Joy? No.
Yeah. So then it goes to a third part where you drop it again deeper. You keep filling in that blank. So my biggest fear is blank because blank. And then you do it again because, and you fill that in. So say the first part again, Chelsea.
My biggest fear is being rejected by somebody who I love. Because I don't want to be abandoned. Because if I was abandoned by somebody who I loved, then there would be something really wrong with me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that's kind of the exercise of like, and this really comes into the inner critic because, you know, there's a whole host of things that go into this. Is like, we are our own worst enemy. The fears are valid, and recognizing that and putting that out there. And I think as therapists, we're used to doing this all the time, of really being like, all right, go with that. Make sure that you're facing your fears. Make sure that you're letting those emotions go. Feel it for 90 seconds. But also acknowledging that we have this critic that's kind of this constant voice, and that if you identify those biggest fears, it's kind of like in therapy, we say like, what's the worst thing that can happen? Go there. And you do that, Chelsea. You play out the worst case scenario. So this is kind of a flavor of that, where you're just honing in on like the biggest fear that you can identify. So I think kind of the lesson here is for people, to recognize it, to like just name it for yourself and like put it out there and hold it and give it some space and some breathing room so that you can be a little gentler and identify and know that when that comes up for you, you're like, oh, it's okay. I'm safe. Like I know that's there. I'm going to hold that space for myself. And I'm going to give myself some love around that because I really am doing the best that I can.
Joy, it's interesting as you say this, and my mind keeps going deeper. And I think what comes up for me is that feeling of worth, like wanting to make sure that I'm doing it right, wanting to make sure everything's, that I'm giving enough, I'm doing enough. That like that joke I made earlier of like, I'm not perfect.
Right. Like the paper, like I want to do all the paperwork right. I want to do all the steps right.
Yeah,
I want to do everything right.
Because if I don't, then I don't feel safe. I don't feel good enough. It's like almost like I don't want to be the little kid who I've had a lot of death early in my childhood, and then when my parents split up, my mom left for several times, and it was a very, very difficult custodial thing. And so I think that goes back to that kind of core wound of like, I don't want to be that little girl who's left alone. Like I can see myself like left alone with all these big feelings and not having another person to be the life raft, not having another person to be like, I see you, maybe being unnoticed, or like, it's okay, you feel this way. So interesting. Wow, this is a great thing. Rebecca, what came up for you? I'm so curious.
It's kind of a little bit similar to yours, like the third step. So the first thing that kind of came up for me, which is interesting, like the fear of becoming irrelevant.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, what? Like, okay. And then it kind of, the second part, like, I don't know where the second one, I can't remember what that one was, but basically like, almost like, well, then you don't matter or nobody likes you. I have these people pleasing tendencies. I definitely know that. And then that last part, when we drop down further, I saw myself as a little kid feeling disconnected. It's so important for me to have connections. And I think kind of what Chelsea was saying, like that little kid feeling alone and scared, like they are not tethered to somebody else and they are on their own. And as a little kid, that is really scary. So that's really the fear of being alone. And now that I think about it too, like when I think about death, I know as I continue to age, people around me will continue to die. But like that thought of your person dying and you you are on this journey then by yourself at that moment. Yes, there's other people, but that's your person. Wow, that's just like, that's really scary.
Rebecca, it reminds me when we looked at Enjoy too, when we talked about the dismissive or the disorganized attachment last week, we think about these fears being rooted in those core feelings that may or may not have a memory attached. But that's where that fear, I think, is rooted because, people used to say all the time, I work with trauma forever, and people would say like, oh, good thing they don't remember. And I was like, no, actually worse, because now it's just stored in their body and they don't have any memory or words to express what that is.
Have like a reason to tether it to.
You don't.
Which can be really disorienting. And
yes. And that's where, these attachments get in, the anxious of like, I don't want to be alone and all by myself, like somebody SOS, or the other kid who's sitting there saying, I'm alone and by myself, so now I'm going to learn how to never rely on somebody. Where Rebecca, you and I are like, no, we want life. Like, oh my God, I want a community. I mean, I have that, so I say I want it, but we can go in different directions of our survival. But I think I wanted to call that out. Like the body remembers, even if we don't have something that comes up logically, that feeling, those can get stored really deep. And that can be the fear. And you might say, I don't know what it is. I've done it in therapy lots of times where people are like, it's like a dark hole. They're describing it. They're doing it. And I had it once where somebody ended up talking to a family member about it. And the family member gave the whole memory with it. It was wild. Wow. Yeah. She was like, I have this dark feeling. I have this. Like all the client could do was explain the feeling. And they had an aunt they were really close with. And the aunt was like, oh, that was when you were like, 3 years old and blah, blah, blah. Like, and all of a sudden there was an aha. But we're not always lucky enough to have that.
I just want to say for listeners that we are all experiencing wounds and things that you've stored throughout your life. I just want to call that out because I think we all just feel a lot of pressure to be this like well-adjusted, healthy, normal, normal human. That it's what makes us us. And there's that beautiful part, that there's kind of magic in the madness and the flaws of everything that we've been through. And I always say to clients that everything that you've been through and that has really, if it's been beautiful, if it's been hard, makes you who you are. It doesn't define you. The hard parts don't define you. The failures don't define you, but it makes you this beautiful, well-rounded person that can relate to other people because you've been through hard things. And I think that that's just, showing those vulnerabilities more allows others to do the same. And so I just really thank you both for sharing. I mean, this is a podcast, obviously we're sharing parts of ourselves too, but I think a lot of this really is rooted in like the things that we went through as kids. Who was I talking to? Oh, I was talking to a client recently and they were like, I've been doing meditations about my inner child and I can't, every time I try, I just start crying. I'm like, well, that's very telling because if we all think of our little child selves, I get teary, because we're like, we were just doing the best we can. So let's kind of wrap this up around how we can, I don't know if we can like talk to that inner critic. This is all kind of, it's tied together with like our fears, but how we talk to ourselves. So maybe when things come up, so for mine ultimately kind of went to this place of, I don't want to disappoint people. Like I'll never be happy. I'm afraid to do things maybe that are outside of my comfort zone. And then ultimately I'm going to disappoint people because I'm never going to be living up to my full potential or whatever. So that kind of goes into this like, oh, so the critic in me is this like, you're never doing enough. You're never being enough. One of my favorite ways to acknowledge this inner critic is to like look for evidence. So the evidence is like, I'm doing pretty good. So that critic is like,
Joy, you're not doing pretty good. You are doing amazing.
You're my pep talker.
You are crushing it. So let's just reframe that.
And I'm going to second that because, the beauty, I think, of our little club is we're not, as my girlfriend would say, giving lip service, right? Like we call it out. Yeah. And it's the best thing about having authentic, amazing relationships is you can have somebody who can be like, hey, how can I help you get to where you need to be? Or have you considered this? I mean, I've had girlfriends sit me down and be like, okay, I'm calling you out, Chelsea. We're gonna have this conversation, and I call it the brave conversations that we have to have in life. So it's not, Rebecca, your pep talks are so authentic and so true that yes, Rebecca's really good at them. And yes, there is no lip service in there. That is true, Joy. You are crushing it. You're amazing.
And Rebecca does not tell you things unless they're true. So I completely agree with that.
Thank you.
It's
No,
true.
I mean it. It's like when you get a Rebecca pep talk, and let me give some history here. Rebecca gives pep talks via voice memos. So occasionally you'll just get like a little voice memo from Rebecca that's like, "Hey Joy, I just want you to know today that you're crushing it and you're doing a good job." It's like the best gift ever.
I mean, it's
so how
really
do you
good.
how do you guys handle the inner critic, or like when these wounds or fears pop up? What do you do?
I want to share a resource that really changed my life. There is a book, and it is called The Four Agreements. Now, The Four Agreements, I read this book every couple years, but let me be very honest. I've read it through a few times, but there's a little too much. I just want to get to the agreements and like get me in those, right? Like I read all the other stuff. I don't need to keep reading the whole book. So I found on YouTube where you can just go to like agreement 1 and it gives you like the 15-minute agreement 2. But anyways, the four agreements, which I love, and it's Don Reese, Ruiz, I believe.
Don Miguel Ruiz.
Yes,
Yeah.
Don Miguel. Thank you. So the first one is to be impeccable with your word. Basically, that means like only say what you mean. And I take that to as myself and others. So if I don't mean that, like, I don't know, if I'm looking in the mirror and I'm like, oh, I don't know, let me just pick something stupid, like, oh, you look fat. Do I mean that? Like my whole body looks fat, my whole body looks flabby, my whole body like looks old? That's not true. I'm tired and have some bags under my eyes. Going back to like more of the truth, right? Speaking about other people, being impeccable with my word, trying to make sure that like I'm not gossiping about somebody, I'm not saying things that aren't true, because I think when we say those about others, it's really a reflection of ourselves. So I always bring it back to me. If I'm having a judgment about another person, that's coming back. Then the big one I live by is my girlfriends will tell you, I always say it's my personal best. I think in his book he says always do your best, but I say do your personal best. And your personal best means it changes. You know, when I'm crying over stupid, FMLA paperwork in the moment, that's the best I could do. What did I want to do? I wanted to rip up the paperwork and throw my computer, but I did not. So, that was my personal best. And then they have don't make assumptions. And I think that's a good one. And don't take anything personally. So what others do is about them. It's not about you. And I think that helps to soften the inner critic, because when we're hypercritical of ourselves and somebody does something, we automatically assume, oh, they did this because it's me. They did this because of this. They did this, and we internalize that. And so when we can say other people's realities are not about me, especially when you haven't done anything wrong, somebody's crabby, that's not about you. That rando crabbo person, like that is not about you. You might have even been that person before. That wasn't about the person in front of you. So the Four Agreements has helped me a lot. I just try to, when I get really stuck, see myself little. And that's helpful because I have kids, so I can see them little. And it's helpful because I can look at other people and I can see them as like 9 years old, 10 years old. I look at other humans all the time who are acting in a way that I know isn't their true sense of self. And I go, wow, it's like a walking wound. So I try to do that for myself too. But those are, and I love that book. Again, there's some fluff in it. I like to kind of cut through it for efficiency.
Yes,
I'm the same way. I would have done the same
I'm
thing.
like, can we get to the Four Agreements, please?
Yeah, just give me the Four Agreements and I'll be able to understand all the other stuff. Yeah, so the Four Agreements I really like, and really noticing that, we can't take everything in. We all have these fragile parts of ourselves. So how do we act a little bit sweeter, a little bit nicer, a little bit kinder to ourselves? Because when we do that, that then comes to the people in front of us. It's always with us. I hate to say that, but the world is a reflection of your bias, of your pain, of all the things.
We're just like everyone's just projecting all day long. Projection. Thank you for sharing that. That's a great. I have not read that book. I know that book. I've heard of that book. I used to have it on my shelf in my office. I think someone gifted it to me, and at the time I was like, I don't read books. I just like
I don't read books. I look at
their titles. I went through this funny phase like after grad school where I could not like crack open a book for the life of me because I was like, I can't read any more books. But yeah, I do know that book, and I will have to post the link to those YouTube
you can
videos.
Go to 4 of them and they're reading it out loud, and I would say each one is maybe 10 to 20 minutes. I've given it to lots of clients that I work with, because again, I think it's 4 simple things that you can keep using to tether yourself. And he's not even like a therapist. I don't even know what his I actually don't know much about him. I just really,
He wrote a good book.
Yeah.
I'll say one quick thing is something that I often say to patients, because this comes up a lot, is when you think about not taking things personal, a lot of people struggle with what other people might think of them. I always forget this statistic specifically, but there is something out there that's like other people only think of you or other people for like a minute before they start thinking about themselves again. So you're basically just like worrying about nothing. We're always thinking about ourselves. We're rarely thinking about other people in that way. We're rarely spending time, thinking of what I'm never sitting there for all day being like, I can't believe she wore those pants. Like it's just not.
All day long, that's what you're thinking.
All day long.
I just can't stop it. No. For me, I like to give myself pep talks. I actually will do this. I just go outside and start walking a little bit or around my office. But I'm like, once I realize what I'm doing, I name it. And then I'm like, okay, let's talk about this. So I kind of pep talk myself, and I actively challenge the critic and be like Chelsea, you were talking about like going through like how these things aren't accurate or true. And then I set some boundaries around it. And I'm like, okay, I have been doing this for the last hour. I'm not doing this again for today. Or if I'm going to do it, then I have to say nice things about myself and replay. I hate that one. When people are like, now say 3 nice things for the one terrible thing you said to yourself. I'm like, eyes roll back in my head. I'm like, I hate it.
Yeah,
but
like I don't connect with that. Yeah, because
so then I just won't even say anything bad.
Right? You can't pivot that quickly. You're like, I'm just not there. I can't. Yeah.
But when I say that to myself, I'm like, because it annoys me, and I'm like, well, I guess I just can't say any bad things then, because I'm not going to say any good things.
Oh my God, it's a punishing that your consequence will be that you have to say nice things about yourself. That's hilarious.
Isn't that funny? But so that's what I do. And then I kind of go back into this, like, let's have a growth mindset. I know it gets thrown around, especially in the business world, fixed and growth mindset. But I really do have a growth mindset. And I'm always like, okay, like, how can we make this better? How can we grow this? Like, the problem solver starts happening for myself. So that's how I handle it.
I also will give one more tip that I was just thinking of, Rebecca, when you were talking, was I think of Beyonce, because I'm like, I want Beyonce energy right now. And I'll do like this, like I'll listen to a Beyonce song, or I'll listen to someone that's like really empowering, and like, Diana Ross, or someone that's just like giving me this diva energy. Or I'll put on some clothes like dopamine dressing, just something where you're like outwardly feeling powerful. So
like a diva.
Almost
That's
like a
what
diva.
I'm hearing from you.
Yes. So maybe you just need to bring on the big chick energy and just move on with your day.
Well, and then what Joy's saying, that is a behavioral activation. So the inner critic is a thought that's going on in the brain. We can change thoughts, feelings, and body sensations by changing a behavior or a thought. If we are getting in a fight with our thoughts and getting stuck in it, the fastest way to change that would be to do a behavior, to have a behavior, engage in a behavior that shifts the energy. So that's what Joy is calling out. Like Rebecca did it very cognitively, and then bargained with herself and was like, I'm not doing this bullshit of this name 3 things crap that I'm not even going to believe because it's so stupid. So now I don't get to think about it at all. So she boundaried it with her brain. And Joy's talking about, the behavioral activation of like, let me shift my feelings, let me shift my emotions, let me get in. You're getting back into your body behaviorally, which then creates safety. And if you're creating that safety, then the inner critic doesn't feel so vulnerable. Wow. Full circle, guys.
I don't think it's great. I love it. Really think that at the end of the day, it's thank you, Beyonce. All right. So next week, we're going to talk about new beginnings. It's just in time because spring has sprung. People are doing spring cleaning. Maybe we need to spring clean our brains, things that are new in our lives, things we want to bring into the next season. So all about blooming and planting things.
Yeah. We're going to imagine your brain getting lifted off the top, and then we want to plant some seeds in it, and then we'll water them with like a little flower garden in the brain.
Garden in your brain. Oh my gosh. Okay, my friend and I, this is actually a year ago, this time of year, she had this idea. I was visiting her. She's one of my dearest friends, and she's like, I think we should write a list. Maybe we can take inspiration from this activity. She's like, let's write a list of things that we want like out. Like we're gonna like burn it. And she had a fireplace, and we actually did burn this list. So like, we wrote this list of things that we want to say goodbye to, patterns of behavior, negative thoughts, things like that. And then we crumpled it up, we put it in a fireplace, and we like blessed it on its way. And we were like, bye-bye, thank you. And then we wrote a list of, so maybe when people are doing spring planting, they could do this. We wrote the list of things we want to plant and grow and things we want to continue to do in our lives. And we literally planted these pieces of paper in her rose garden.
Joy, I have in my house plants papers planted. That is so, I don't know anybody else who does that. I planted.
Oh my God, we did it.
When I had
amazing.
my practice in the mountains in Lake Arrowhead, California, I would have people do that. We would dig a little hole and plant. Oh my God.
Piece of paper.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
That is
and
so
it was very,
interesting.
very
I don't know anybody
symbolic.
else who does that. It is.
And it felt so good.
You water it every few days.
And these flowers were gorgeous. Like her rose garden was beautiful. So we just felt, I was like, wow, I am a part of the earth. Like these things, energetically, it felt great. So that's what we're going to talk about next week.
I'm so excited.
Bring your ideas, and we thank you and bless you on your way for hanging in for another week of the Laugh Cry Club, the most popular, not exclusive, everyone's welcome, non-exclusive club.
It's VIP though,
but it is
everybody.
VIP.
I would say the club members, if you are in this club, you're definitely VIP, and you're definitely, I would say, probably really high vibration, right?
Yeah.
Like you are
yeah.
up here a little bit to be able to have these uncomfortable or even listen to all of these things that we're saying and doing. Like I would say maybe it's a high vibe club.
I love that. The High Vibe Club.
We're high vibing. So as always, you can find us on social media at Laugh Cry Club. Email us laughcryclub@gmail.com for any questions you want to submit to the show or any topics that you would like us to talk about. The best way to support the show is to share with a friend or even on your social media channels. But we just love that you're here, and we look forward to talking to you next week. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
That's life, baby.